everyone? Welcome back. Please comment, subscribe, folks. Comment, subscribe, like the videos. Also share the videos. I want to thank everyone that does like, watch, and share my videos. You folks are the absolute best. Listen, folks, there's a link tree down below. Has the links to all of my social media platforms. Please go down there. Follow me across all my social media platforms and talk to me because I talk back. Also down there as well as links to all of my YouTube pages. Please go down there, subscribe to all my YouTube pages, and turn on your notifications so when I post content, you folks will be in the know. Now, with that said and done and put to the side, I've come to talk to you folks today about Jaxson Dart. Oh yeah, we gotta have the discussion, man. There's been a lot of things swirling, a lot of Jets fans talking, things moving and grooving around, and there's been talk about the New York Jets taking Jaxson Dart at 7, and I want to have the discussion, okay? Comment down below, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because we got to get into it, okay? Now listen, I like Jaxson Dart a lot. Okay, everyone knows that I've been talking about Jaxson Dart for quite some time, all right? But I don't know about the New York Jets taking him at 7. I think for him, that would be a bit of a reach, okay? But I'll tell you what, Jaxson Dart is a good prospect. He's a guy that has some things. He's got some tools, all right? Now, keep in mind, he did some things over there at Ole Miss. I mean, he really took care of business, man. He actually ended his collegiate career being the all-time leader in passing yards for Ole Miss, okay? I think he threw like 10,617 yards. 2024, man, phenomenal season for him. 4,200 yards, had 29 touchdowns as well. So, you know, he looked pretty solid in college, and he was able to put some things together and really do some things, man. And I know that initially, right, like after the season, nobody really looked at him as a guy that could go in the first round. There was a lot of talk about him being a guy that at best would go high in the second round, but more than likely he was a mid-second to like top of the third round guy. But a lot of people said, hey, he's got some things. But let me tell you something, baby. He went out there in the Senior Bowl and put together a solid performance, okay? I thought it was a solid performance, and he also had a good combine as well. But let me tell you something. That Senior Bowl performance is really what just shot his stock through the moon, in my personal opinion. That after the Senior Bowl, that was the first time I had really heard people start talking about how, hey, he could be a bottom of the first round guy to the teens in the first round type of guy right now. And I'll tell you what, he made some impressive plays in the Senior Bowl. He did. And one of them that really kind of opened my eyes when I saw him, man, he dropped back and there was some pressure coming from his right side. And he was able to get away from that pressure. He starts to roll left. He sees a wide receiver coming across the field. And he stopped and launched the ball down the field, was able to hit the wide receiver right before it went out of bounds for a completion and a catch. And I was like, whoa, that was a crazy throw. That was a crazy throw. What a play, right? Very, very solid. He also utilized his feet as well there. He was moving around all day, running all over the place, and he ran in for a touchdown as well on one of his plays. And I was impressed by that run too. The pocket kind of broke down. He just skirted up out of there, ran forward, and just kind of muscled his way into the end zone. I don't watch a lot of Ole Miss, but I tell you what, I think it was a game against Wake Forest where I saw him utilize his feet as well. Man, the pocket was breaking down. He took off outside the pocket, ran forward, and he ran a guy over. It was a linebacker. I think it was like number 45 or something. Ran him over and got into the end zone, and I was impressed by that, bruh. I was like, whoa, this guy can really do some things. So, listen, Jaxson has some tools, man, in his skill set that really could be, really can make him successful at the next level. But he's got a lot of weaknesses, and I feel like a lot of people aren't necessarily talking about that. When you look at some of the weaknesses of Jaxson Dart, one of the weaknesses is people are really concerned about his ability to go through his progressions of reads at the next level. When you look at the offense that he came from, it's kind of just like a fun and gun type of offense. He's not, asked to like consistently go through progressions. So he's just kind of like a one read and run quarterback. And that's not going to work at the next level. That Lane Kiffin offense doesn't always translate to the NFL, right? So with him struggling to kind of go through reads, guess what that means? You're going to hold on to the ball longer. And you hold on to the ball in the NFL, baby, you're going to get crushed. You're going to get hit. And there's going to be a lot of problems, right, going forward. So you got to wonder, man, like, can he make the reads in the league? And that's what immediately, when I think about Jaxson, I say to myself, I like some of the things that he brings to the table, but man, he can't be a day one guy for you if you know that you got to get this guy to figure out how to go through reads and progression. He's going to be a guy you're going to have to sit, and you're going to have to work with him, work through a lot of things as well. He also lacks anticipation, right? He's a guy that has to see the wide receiver is open before he launches the football. He's not a guy that goes, oh, this guy's breaking, boom, I'm going to hit him. Not on a consistent basis. He's not going to do that. So you got to work with him on that too. And these are all things that can be worked out. But when you look at where the Jets are at 7, right, there's so much talent, especially when we talk about the Jets needing offensive line help. There's an offensive lineman that's going to be there. He's a tackle. I don't want to talk too much about him. I really like him. His last name starts with an M, but you all know who I'm talking about. But, there's just so much talent there. I don't think that we should reach for Jaxson Dart. Now, I like Jaxson a lot. If the Jets trade down and gain a lot of capital and maybe end up at the bottom of the first or something like that, then I could see it being more realistic of taking Jaxson Dart. But I don't know about taking him at 7, bro. I don't know about that. And we've seen this in the past with the quarterbacks. Some people bring up Zach Wilson because I remember there was a huge push all of a sudden about Zach Wilson that really just skyrocketed him up the boards. And there's a huge push behind Jaxson Dart. A lot of people talking about him being taken, way higher than they were before. And again, this is a very QB, hungry draft, right? Really, the two guys that everyone is sold on at this point is Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And after that, there's some question marks and guys that really aren't thought of as day one starters. But Jaxson Dart is the next guy right after Shedeur. And a lot of people are looking at him like maybe he could be the guy. So I think that there will be a team that could possibly end up reaching for him. I think he's met with a couple teams already. I think he's got the Cleveland Browns coming up. I think he's going to be meeting with them soon. And, like I said, I think, if the Jets were lower than this, then maybe he would be an option. But taking him at 7, I don't think would be the right move. It would put immense pressure on him to deliver. And I just don't think that he wouldn't be put in the right situation, to be completely honest, if he's taken at 7. There's also questions about him as well. There was a Florida game that he had too that ended really badly. That was a pressure-packed situation, and he folded under all that pressure. He's going to be under pressure every single Sunday. Is he going to fold like that consistently as well? So there's some questions about some things, but I tell you what, his arm is solid. He doesn't have a bad arm. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but he doesn't have a bad arm whatsoever. And he's pretty accurate too, right? Good arm, accurate passer. He can move, but there's a lot of stuff in between the ears that you got to, wonder about. So I don't know, man. Again, I like Jaxson Dart. I think he's a good prospect. I think he's a guy, if you could sit him behind somebody, give him some time to really develop, then I think he'll go out and really have some success in the league, for real. But at 7, I don't want to see the New York Jets draft him at 7. But comment down below. Let me know what you folks think. How do you folks feel about Jaxson Dart? Would you take him with the 7th pick in the first round if you were the New York Jets general manager? What is your evaluation of Jaxson Dart? How do you feel about him and his skill set? What are your thoughts about some of the things that you've seen from him? Comment down below. Let me know what you folks think. You folks have a good one. Peace.